wildlife and the traffic and the noise. She did talk a little bit about infrastructure limitations that I don't really think we have. I mean, we've got utilities available from the county side. Ms. Scott talked about the woodlands and the trees and the winds and Mr. Dean and Mr. Ford, and I appreciate them saying all that they have, but also, me personally, I feel like we have a responsibility to the property owner. And when I look at the things that's been discussed here tonight, the things that's concerned them, and then I think back upon what Mr. Langdale said, we can't, I feel like we can't deny a man to do what he wishes with his property when the arguments are, we don't want to lose the trees because of protection from heavy winds. And, I'm big on individual property owner rights and people being able to do what they want with their property as long as it doesn't negatively affect the neighbors. And I just don't see where it's going to tremendously have such a large impact on the neighbors that it's worth denying Mr. Langdale the opportunity to do with it what he needs to do.
If I may, and I can stand corrected if the case be on the tree issue, if Mr. Langdale, the property owners, chose to, they could go in there and clear cut the entire property. There is nothing that keeps them from doing that. They could go in there and harvest every piece of timber on that piece of property. But they are good, as he said, they're stewards of the land, and so they're doing their part, in my opinion, to try and put a piece of property, make it marketable, but at the same time, go a long way to protecting the concerns of the neighbors that live there in Foxborough. We appreciate just what you said, just that everybody's has come here, everybody has expressed their concerns. But I think that this is one of the cases where you could say really everybody's concerns are being considered and are trying to be addressed as much as they possibly can. Because again, from the standpoint of a lot of what I've heard about wildlife and about trees and protection from wind and all those sort of things, all legitimate, especially with the last 18 months that we've been going through with the hurricanes. Again, he has the right, as any property owner in a rural area, to cut every tree on there if he chose to do that. Unfortunately, that's a little bit of what we have up on the corner of North Valdosta Road, and on that would be the north corner of Foxborough. That gentleman on that piece of property has gone into the wetlands. He's cut the timber. He has the right to do that. What he can't do is disturb the land, which means he can't go in there and dig stumps and pull them out. And so that's kind of where that check and balance is coming in at. But he can harvest the trees. So my point with the issue with the trees is really kind of a moot issue, because anybody can harvest their trees. It's just like a crop. It's time to harvest, they can harvest.
Well, the other thing that was mentioned was traffic. And I mean, I've always kind of anticipated that section of Coleman Road would either be retail. We've all heard, rumors about a Publix on the Motley property and a St. John's Town Center type environment there, which, I was thinking retail. And also, if you think of, an R10 development, residential development, even the old R21, 21,000-foot lot, I think those would be more invasive on the neighbors than what we're talking about doing here with an M1. So, I mean, if you'll accept my motion to approve this as presented and following the planning commission's recommendation, that'd be great.
All right, well, before we get ahead, I'll hold your motion, but are there any other questions for staff before we move into the motion?
My concern was just along some of these conditions, I feel overlap each other that you spoke to. Well, I do know he really has the right to do this, but some of these conditions really almost meet the point.
Well, again, the reason I asked that question, and I think Mr. Dillard clarified that again, is that some of them does address each other. They do appear to be somewhat overlapping, but each individual one will stand on its own merit and what the need and the visual purpose of it is. So if there's no other discussion, then Mr. Orenstein, would you please restate your motion?
I move we approve the request with the 7 conditions. Seeing no objection from the applicant to the 7 conditions, I say we just make this part of the motion following the planning commission's recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the request with the 7 conditions. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries.